and culture building experiences. Let's welcome Steve Arntz to the stage.
Thank you, Laura. I was having a conversation with the CEO at dinner just a few weeks ago. And as often happens during introductions, he says, "What does Campfire do?" And I say, "It's because I'm trying to be quick." "Well, we're on a mission to close the connection gap." He says, "What does that even mean?" I said, "Well, in any two groups of people or between any two individuals, there is a gap of disconnection. Whether that's Democrats and Republicans, talked about that previously, students and teachers, parents and their kids, or leaders and their employees. There's a gap in any of those relationships, and I'm hoping to close all of them." He said to me, "Can you help me with my connection gap?" I didn't really know what to expect at that point, but I said, "Maybe." He said, "I have two daughters in their 30s, and they're estranged. And one of them has several of my grandchildren, and I haven't seen them in years. And I held one of those babies in my arms, and I told her, 'There will not be a week that goes by that I won't see you,' and I haven't seen her for 3 years. Can you help me with that connection gap?" And I said, "It's probably more simple than you think. Of course, simple does not mean easy." I was having a call with a venture capitalist over Zoom, as we often do these days. And as we got on the call, I said, "Firms and funds, they're struggling right now. How are you doing?" And she said, "Well, let me go deep a little bit here with you." Said, "I think that pandemic broke something inside all of us. The endless Zoom meetings, the massive pace of change. My teenagers are struggling so much with their mental health, as so many have experiences with. There's wars, political division, economic hardship, extensive layoffs." We talked about all of those things. Hundreds of companies have laid off hundreds of thousands of people. And the word trust in our organizations is often being replaced with the word profit. We, as culture builders, have such a significant responsibility to build organizations that can create ripples in our communities of impact. When we give someone a safe place to work, a place of belonging and connection where there's trust, we send them home to be better parents, better spouses, better partners, to lean into problems in their communities. When we create places that are centered on purpose, that have connection and have meaning, we create massive amounts of ripples. Now imagine if we flipped that. What if we said, we show up at home well so that we can show up at work well? What if we said, as culture builders, let's support people in having amazing lives where they can serve in their communities, in their schools, in their homes, and then they come and they do their best work? What would that look like? In the 1970s, the FAA developed a pre-flight inspection process. And in that inspection process, they realized that more important than checking in with the airplane was checking in with the pilot themselves. And they developed an acronym, I am safe. It stands for illness, medicine, what is S? Can't remember, alcohol, and then towards the end is emotions. I am safe, great acronym for them. It helped reduce accidents significantly. And the most important part of it was that check-in with the pilot themselves. And we're gonna do that today. And I was gonna say that I could see you, but I can't because there's blinding lights. But I want you to close your eyes anyway, okay? So everybody just close your eyes. We're gonna check in with our instruments here. So close your eyes, take a deep breath. And I want you to think to yourself, what am I feeling? I want you to name the emotion. Notice I didn't say, how are you? Or how are you feeling? I want to know, what are you feeling? What are you feeling in this moment now? And I want you to think to yourself, what are your distractions? What's keeping you from being present here today in this beautiful theater? Final question I want you to ask yourself. What are your intentions? In life and work, the different roles that you have, what are you trying to do? What are you trying to accomplish? What are your intentions? Go ahead and open your eyes, come back for a second. What did you notice as you went through that process? About 50% of people can't actually name an emotion that they're feeling at any given moment. So if you weren't able to find a name for the emotion, then you're part of that 50%, and it's okay. What were your distractions? What was keeping you from being here? What were your intentions? I want you to close your eyes again. This will be the last time. And as you close your eyes, I want you to think of another human in your life. Any human. Could be someone that you work with, someone that you're close to, that you live with, family member, friend. I want you to get that person in your mind. And as you do that, I want you to ask the same 3 questions. So, what is that person? I want you to go where they are if you can. What are they feeling right now? Now I want you to think about what might be distracting them. What's on their mind? What are the challenges and obstacles and things that are frustrating in their life or keeping them from doing the things that they want to do? And then finally, what are their intentions? What are they trying to accomplish in life and in work? Go ahead and come back. What did you notice there? What you probably noticed is that you actually, despite your distance, were able to connect to that human. They're not here with us, but you were able to build a connection with them as you tried to feel some empathy for their situation. Number 2, you were able to care for them in a different way. And number 3, you might have thought to yourself, I don't know what they're feeling. I have no idea what they're feeling. I have no idea what their distractions are, what their intentions are, but maybe you got curious. Maybe I should ask. Maybe I should check in. Maybe I should connect. I'm going to give you some insights into some of the things that they're feeling. Okay, so it's up on these slides here. Motivated, happy, joyful, calm, fulfilled, right? As we build cultures in our workplaces, engaged workforces, that's what it looks like. Everybody sitting in their basements, working away with happiness, motivation, joy, calm, and fulfillment. The truth is, it's a mix of things. Some people have just gone through some loss. They're grieving. Some people are bitter that their friend just got laid off. Some people are angry and frustrated. Some people are peaceful and calm and enjoying their work. And sometimes it's a mix of all of these things. We've got to check in with our people. What might they be distracted by? Well, it's March, so of course, there's a basketball tournament. Caitlin Clark is absolutely crushing it. Everybody wants to see what she's doing at the University of Iowa. They're on social media. They're scrolling their feeds, right? Like everybody's just distracted by their social media. Let's turn that off, shall we? Netflix, the latest reality TV show, those are all the distractions, right? Well, the truth is we've got 2 wars. I was driving down the freeway on the way to work, and I was thinking about the person at the helm of that boat that crashed into the bridge in Baltimore. People are thinking about all sorts of things, and it's not all March Madness. There's a lot of distractions out there, a lot of challenges. In terms of intentions, we are all united by this word, success. We all in this room want to be successful. And that might be in some role that's more important to us than our job, like being a parent or a partner or a friend or a spouse. But it might be our work. It unites all of us, though. We all want to be successful. A few weeks ago, I was facilitating an executive team session. And in that session, I asked everybody to put an emotion up on a virtual sticky board so that we could connect on the emotions that we were feeling. The first sticky note popped up. Frustrated was the word. I had no idea what I was getting myself into. This is what the sticky board looked like at the end. The entire room in this executive team was aligned in this emotion, frustrated. And I asked them, I said, let's not dive into what's making us frustrated, but let's notice that we're all connected in the same emotion. How much power is there in that for us to notice that? And what can we do about it? Well, we can get reactive and fearful, because as we found out, it was because we're not hitting financial plan. We're frustrated, we're not hitting financial plan. Well, how are things going? Well, we have an amazing culture, an amazing mission, amazing vision. Things are going so well, we're just not doing as well as we'd like. Well, we can align around purpose and creativity, or we can get stuck in fear and reactivity. And this is a situation that's facing so many of our organizations. And they decided, let's align around purpose. When we're driven by purpose, then we turn outward to our customers, to the people we serve. When we're driven by fear, we get reactive. It's interesting because purpose is as important for connection as the people. There's some research that suggests a strong sense of purpose and meaning shifts the balance between the fear center of our brain that wants to avoid danger to another center of our brain that is involved in seeking and discovering. And so it's less about meeting other people and more about finding purpose and taking part in something larger than yourself. Are our organizations currently driven by purpose and creativity, or fear and reactivity? And what can we do to help people to connect with those emotions and to identify a better way forward by making themselves part of something larger than themselves? As culture builders, I would argue that culture is almost all about conversations and connections that we experience. A connection first to purpose and meaning, to the other people that we work with, a really strong manager or leader. And we need to start by connecting with ourselves and then helping each other to connect as well. We need to empower leaders in key moments that matter. And what are some of those moments? Day one, as I start an organization, as we onboard our new employees, are we connecting them to purpose, meaning, and the relationships and resources that they need to be successful? As people are promoted into a leadership role, are we helping them to understand the expectations that they have as leaders so that they can be successful in leading their teams? And number three, change, which is so prevalent in our organizations today. It's a constant, and it's even more today. Are we helping them to understand the impacts of change in their life, their role in helping us to be successful? I see a world where we have the technology tools and support for every leader to be able to provide these connected workplaces, for them to be able to inspire, teach, and coach their teams, for us to be able to slow down so that we can speed up, so that we can support, align, and empower our people in cultures of purpose, caring, and curiosity. Now, I know they tell you not to take your phones out at these things, but pull your phone out, and I want you to connect right now with someone. I want you to send a message to someone on your team, to a loved one, to a friend, to a spouse, partner, someone. Just pull out your phones. Here's 3 prompts. Number 1, how are you? Honest answers only. That's a good one. Number 2, thank you for, fill in the blank. Number 3, I'm sorry. Let's take that first step in connecting. I appreciate you all. Thank you so much.
We appreciate Steve and those important words that he shared with us. We're now going to introduce another one of our sponsors, and we're going to do so by sharing this video. I think. Is the video going? Maybe I need to click again. We'll see. It is coming.
Are you looking to make waves in your next company event? Splash Summit Waterpark is the perfect place to bring your team. Whether your guests are seeking high-adventure thrill rides or prefer to float lazily around the Rainforest River, we have something for everyone. With party packages that fit any company party, Splash Summit has you covered. So what are you waiting for? Book your company event at Splash Summit Waterpark.
This is Ella from Splash Summit, and she's going to tell us about her company.
Hello, everybody. Thank you, thank you. Isn't this awesome? We're so thrilled to sponsor this event today at Splash Summit Waterpark. Honestly, it's kind of weird being one of the oldest people here, but it's no big deal. At our water park, we host corporate events, birthday parties, family reunions, and we would love to see you guys this summer. And with that, we have two giveaways for you guys today. If you could all open up that blank white envelope that you got at the front. It's not the one that says Warriors on it. It's the blank one, and we have 2 passes for you guys to use this summer, so we'd love to see you, to take whoever you want. And the second giveaway we have is to a special seat number. We have a group package for you to book on us, and that is on the east section, row 6, and seat 11. Give it up for seat 11. Woo! And that seat number, if you could meet us at our booth after, we'd love to see you and help you book this event. Thank you. We'd love to see you this summer.
Thank you, Ella. Our next panel will be joining us here on the stage, and I'd like to introduce the moderator of the panel, and then she will introduce the participants. This is LaTanya Howell. She has over 15 years of experience in HR with a strong focus on establishing and growing HR functions in startup organizations in multiple industries. Her expertise lies in leadership development, DEIB, strategic planning, public speaking, and community outreach. She is passionate about creating and fostering a culture of belonging, empowerment, and innovation for all. She is SHRM CP certified and serves on the board of directors of the Salt Lake chapter of SHRM. Please welcome LaTanya and the rest of the panelists.
Well, good morning, everyone. Super excited to be here today. I hope you all are meditated and ready for this next section. I have with me Nathan Sheridan. He is the Chief People Officer for Connor Group, Brixton Gardner, Culture King for Award Co., and Allison Pickett, the VP of People at Connect. Hey, guys. All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. So our topic is navigating cultural transformation at scale. And the first question I have, and I'll start with you, Brixton, how do you recognize and adapt to the different needs and perspectives within your organization when you're trying to change its culture?
Yeah, super good to be here. Thanks everyone for showing up, by the way. It's awesome. The question like, hey, how do you recognize that there's a time to change? I really like 2 things that were said earlier today, so I hope it's okay if I retweet it, if that's kosher. Anita talked about your business performance, right? Hey, if something's off in overall metrics, like if you're not hitting your business goals, if there's a specific team or a business unit that isn't accomplishing their goals, it's probably time for a change. The other thing I'd say, I loved what Tian said earlier, like as a people person or as an HR rep, like you are the culture hire. People are banking on that. So they want you to be able to lean in and use your people expertise to be able to say like, hey, like something's off here. A lot of leaders sometimes aren't cognizant of little things that they might be doing that can enhance or diminish a culture, and they're banking on you to be that voice. So again, if you're the people person, just lean into that hard, right? Don't take it as an offense if they say like, yeah, you're the culture hire. Like take that as like a badge of honor and take it to the bank.
Love that. We okay being culture hires, HR folks? Yeah? All right, Nathan, what do you think?
As I was thinking about what I was going to say, a moment came to my mind. It was about 3 years ago. This is about a year after COVID hit. And do you remember how everyone was kind of like still kind of locked down, kind of, COVID-15 was kind of like a real thing, And I kind of felt like I needed to make a change for my own self, And so as I think about organizational change, I oftentimes look inside about my own experiences changing. I was like, all right, I'm going to get in better shape and I'm going to start working out. So I researched all sorts of different things. I found a gym I was going to go to, and I get there early, and I sit in the parking lot for 15 minutes, scared. Like, what is it going to look like? Am I going to look like an idiot? If people are not going to know what what is this guy doing? Why is he here? And I built up the courage, and I went, and I'm still going to the gym, so that's good. I know I'm like physique.
You look
so-
great.
But the point of what I'm trying to make is, change is very traumatic for people, and it can be very scary. So when we talk about organizational change, I always like to zoom in on the personal experience. Like, what is that person going through? Try to put yourself in their situation, their shoes, and try to build empathy. And I think that's some of the roles that we can play in this room. Is we can talk like big statements or direction or vision of the company, but drill down to what the individual is actually experiencing and try to experience the emotions along with them, because that will inform how you set them up for success.
Love it. And last but not least, Allison.
Yeah, change is interesting, right? We are, and I think it was alluded to earlier today, that we're a tribal, it's in our DNA to be a part of a tribe, and we crave certainty. And how many people will be uncomfortably comfortable just for the sake of not changing? And so it's this interesting space of where the world is forcing us to change. And a lot of us would love to retreat back to even being comfortably uncomfortable, and we're getting pushed out. And so there's this whole change management cycle happening with culture. This is gonna age me for everybody, but like 25 years ago, it was like, this is how you do culture, read the book, check the box, this is how we do it. And like now, if anybody tells you they know how to do culture better than you do, I would venture to say it's probably worth questioning their expertise, because it's so much about creating a culture and having a culture that actually makes sense in the time and space that we're in.
Right. Leading into the next question, how do you talk about change within your organization? How is it communicated, and how do you make sure that everybody's invested? And I will start with you, Nathan.
Yeah, I think leaders oftentimes have this tendency to say, all right, now we're at a moment of change, now we're going to engage. And I think for us as leaders, it's important for us to step back and say, we don't only engage our employees and our team members and our professionals in moments of change. You have to engage all the time. You gain credibility, you gain understanding, you gain perspective that you wouldn't naturally otherwise. And so I think as a leader, you might have a tendency to just sort of like, churn and run the business. And then it's like, okay, it's all hands on deck for this change. And I guess I would challenge the perspective that you actually need to be all hands on deck all the time. And I love the topic that we discussed a little bit earlier about proximity, because I think as leaders, there's a real important piece of leading change through proximity. You have to be close to members of your team. You have to be close to understanding what they're going through. And you can't just engage in moments of change briefly and then kind of retreat back into your ivory tower and running the business. It doesn't come from a place of credibility if you only come and go. And the best leaders that I've seen are the ones that take the intention to connect with their teams, the lowest levels of the organization, on an ongoing basis. It's not hard, but it takes discipline. A CEO to do a roundtable with a bunch of, college kids, right, coming out of school. Well, what does this do for my bottom line? Well, it may not do anything today, but as you're engaging them and understanding their issues and the things that are important to them, you're setting the groundwork to build that groundswell of change when you need to. So it's about making deposits ahead of time. And I think sometimes leaders get that backwards.
I love it. Being involved from the start and building that trust, right?
Right.
Very important. Allison.
Yeah, so change is interesting, right? There's two types of change. There's a revolution and there's evolution. And we have been forced into some revolution change. How many people had revolution change at the beginning of COVID, right? Like, we're in office, now we're not in office. Now we have hybrid and people are wearing masks and we have all these things. So change can come in this dramatic revolution style. But the evolution kind is always happening. And we're seeing the dramatic revolution changes that people are scaling back, they're adjusting. And so I think we have to get really honest with ourselves of, are we in an evolution phase or a revolution phase? Because how many times does the revolution phase actually stick? right? And so oftentimes we show up to a company and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm going to change everything and it's going to be so freaking cool and we're going to have the best time and everything's going to be great. And then it doesn't happen and we're like, what just happened? And oftentimes it's because we're expecting this huge revolution of adjustment. And so many times culture can be improved by just those incremental evolutionary changes. And then you look back a year later and you're like, where have we come and how cool is that?
Yes, evolution versus revolution. So good, right? We love it? No? Okay.
Woo!
Tough crowd. All right, Brixton.
Yeah, a couple things come to mind. I like, Nathan, what you were sharing. If I could get more people bought into the change, like it's going to be easier to enact that change. I just need to provide them vision. You want to figure out as a leader, like what are the different maybe rituals or artifacts that you could introduce to your workforce to make that change feel more accessible or something that they can be a part of, right? If you come over to Awardco, we have an open floor concept for our employees, probably similar to a lot of you, right? But if you look at every department head's desk, they have a chair right next to it. So including our CEO. So you'll see like our customer support reps sometimes walking over to our CEO's desk, sitting down next to him and having a whole conversation, right? He's very transparent with them. They're very transparent with him. And it creates this really strong culture that everyone from the top down at our org we're all trying to build culture together and there's no limits or artificial boundaries that we place. And so I think when you're engaging in that work of change, it's, hey, bring as many people into the room as you can. Don't just be like one culture builder. See if you could get, like, if your company's 400 employees, try having like 400 culture builders and getting everyone up.
I love that. That's a solid tip, right? All right. How do you deal with the people or the groups within your organization who are skeptical of that change? And how do you know if the change is actually making a difference for them? Were they right in being skeptical? How do you gauge that? I'll start with Allison this time.
Great. I think what's interesting is like skeptical isn't always bad, right? Negative can be bad, but skeptical isn't always bad. And so I think we've got to be really careful to label skeptical people as bad because that what's born out of that can be magic, right? Like if somebody's not bought in, like go find out why. I'm also a huge advocate. If somebody's not bought in, there is so many other opportunities for them to go seek something else that you don't necessarily have to change because somebody can't get bought in. And I think the number one thing you can do is once you actually figure out who you are, where you're going, and what your culture is, if somebody doesn't fit in, they got to go. And I think it's okay to ask them and to try to bring them along, but trying to talk somebody into something, it's like a relationship, right? We're not sitting down and trying to talk somebody into loving us. Probably won't last very long if we are. And so part of it is like, it's not always a match. And that gets to be okay because you can have fabulous people that don't want to work with you every day. And it doesn't make them less fabulous, and it certainly doesn't make you less fabulous. And so I think there is this interesting space where we oftentimes are like, oh, if they don't agree, how do I bring them along? Sometimes on the flip side is not bringing them along is helping them find something where they can actually get invested and get excited about. As far as those that are skeptics, listen to them, hear them, help them be part of the solution, do everything you can to help them feel heard. You don't have to change, but just feeling heard makes such a huge difference.
I love that. I think it goes along with kind of the theme of today, just disagreeing better. I have found in my experience that those within the organization who do kind of push back a little bit or they ask a lot of questions, those are actually your most engaged employees. So there's something of value there to what could be perceived as being skeptical.
Yeah, they're probably like, there's a chance they're pushing back because they care about the culture just as much as you do, right? I think Allison makes a really important call out. If you're a people leader and you're not careful, you might accidentally like squash the inspiration that your team has by labeling them as like, oh, you're anti-culture, you're out to get us or something. It's like the vast majority of people have good intentions. So I think what a culture builder leader would do instead is say, hey, just like what Allison was saying, like talk to me, ask some questions, figure out where they're coming from. And kind of like what we were talking about earlier, if I can provide vision for them and say, hey, here is where we're coming from with this change or this decision, they'll get on board most of the time. And if not, they might even have good feedback for you on things that you hadn't considered, right? Like you're just one person versus an entire organization. They're in the trenches. Chances are they're going to see things that you can't see. And so rather than just like bristle up and say, no, I don't want your feedback or you're totally wrong, I think a culture builder will say, whoa, like what are you seeing that I'm not seeing? Like, let's talk about that and let's see if we can learn together.
Yes, yeah. Give them a round of applause for that. That was awesome. I think there's a lot of value in the, giving the why. So I happen to be an older millennial, I guess, and the why is important to me. If I understand where you're coming from, I still may not agree with it, but I understand why, so I'm more likely to proceed. I can be a little stubborn at times, but it's fine. Nathan.
Many of us have some sort of employee engagement survey or some sort of way of measuring employee sentiment on a range of issues. And if you don't have some approach, I encourage you to develop some sort of approach. The interesting thing that I found over the years of my experience is when you do these types of employee engagement surveys, oftentimes you'll get sort of like a normal distribution of responses back. And you'd say, oh, got a bunch of people sort of in the neutral camp. I actually call that the dangerous middle. I would much prefer sort of like a bimodal distribution where I know where people stand. Either they're very against something or they're very for something because I can do something with that. What makes me nervous is when I've got a huge population in the dangerous middle, because to me that tells me it's apathy. They don't care enough to be bought in to something. They'll just kind of go with whatever. And so I think some of the comments earlier today really resonated with me about be who you are, right? Because if you allow, if you measure to the mean, you allow the dangerous middle to sort of take root and apathy sets in. And so really, I actually welcome skeptics and detractors. Give me those all day rather than people in the dangerous middle.
I love that. So I have kind of a side question since, we've got some time. How do you deal with if that skepticism comes from like your senior leaders in the organization with the change? What are some of your best practices? I know I just threw you guys totally on the spot, but we're friends. You're here for it, right? Allison.
Yeah, I think it's one of these interesting things is we all talk about how important the CEO is, right? And the CEO certainly is important. More than that is I think like a cohesive executive team gets really important. And you hear a lot, there's books and all the things written about having this first team philosophy. And oftentimes you get into executive leadership meetings and it's basically a meeting where people are coming and defending their department. And it becomes kind of a stand and defend. And it doesn't become company first. And the first team isn't the executive team that is aligned and committed. And they may argue and push and pull and disagree, and they should, all of those things. But if you don't have a cohesive leadership team, nothing's gonna filter down. And if that's not set, you can still do a great job as an HR person, but it will be really, really hard to do an excellent job. It's that good to great thing, right? You can do a good job, but if that team's not solid and if that team's not aligned, it's gonna be really hard to do a great job. And part of, I think, what we can do as an HR practitioner or professional, I always hesitate to call myself a professional, is that we can call them out on it and say, like, this is like a funky group. People aren't respecting, there isn't trust, and it's filtering through the org. So we can actually become, because oftentimes they think everybody's following when nobody's following. So becoming the voice of the non-followers, I think, is really important.
Yes, calling out your senior leaders as HR leaders. We're one of the few positions in the company that can do that because what we do matters so much to the org, and most leaders recognize that. So, Brixton, what do you think?
Yeah, we talked about employees, right? Like, hey, your skeptical employees, assume they have good intentions. I would recommend maybe taking that approach, as hard as it might be at times, like take that approach with senior leadership as well. Remember, you're the culture hire. We talked about that earlier. And they may not necessarily be thinking about the same things you're thinking about, right? We talked about proximity earlier. One of my favorite sayings I've heard is that people closest to the problem know best how to solve it. And sometimes as your organization grows, there could be this disconnect between your individual contributors, think people in the trenches every day, and your senior leadership. In those settings, I viewed my role as a people leader as just like a broker of relationships. Like, let me get you and you in the same room somehow, and let's just facilitate an experience where you can learn where Allison's coming from, and then vice versa. Silly example we had at Awardco once. Our CEO loves people. We're really fortunate about that. Our people team, we have a ritual every Thursday as Thursday treats. I don't know if anyone else here does this. We're going to give
Sounds like
everyone
a great
diabetes.
ritual.
Yeah, it's great.
What's the address again?
Yeah. So Thursday treats, right? And our team had this idea of, hey, maybe there's a better way we could structure this where we'll save on cost, but we'll deliver better value. But that will mean that treats won't come every Thursday. Anyone want to guess how that went with our employees? Okay, so an employee was so upset about it. We're talking about brokering relationships, talks to the CEO. CEO sends a whole Slack to the company that says, hell no, treats are back on every Thursday. And I thought, like, that's a silly example, but it was something important enough where it was, hey, I feel like this is a difficult year and like, we can't have treats going. Like, we need that. Because everything's so difficult, like this is just our saving grace each week. So it's just cool, like people in the same room can come up with really great solutions. You just need a broker foster that relationship.
So Nathan?
In my role as a HR leader, I've often viewed it as one of influence to the CEO or other members of the C-suite. And there are times where I kind of pull a lever and I take a really strong stand and I'm very visible and I say, no, like maybe this is a moral issue or it's the right thing to do, and I make it very clear. What I found over my career that I got to be very careful about how often I pull that lever. If I come in guns blazing and telling the CEO and the CFO and all these other leaders in the company of what we should do, I get maybe 2 pulls before I lose all credibility. So then the question is, okay, how do I affect change? And I think about my role as influencer in chief. And I actually do not care if things are directly attributed to Nathan. What I care about is whether things are making a difference for our employees and from our business. And so a skill that I've developed over the years is to be able to influence without pulling that lever. It would work differently with different leaders in different contexts. But some of the most satisfying moments I've ever had in my career are when I've planted the seed. I've worked with the leader over time. And maybe if I would have pulled that lever, he or she would have shut me down right away. But I can build some sort of influence over time. And then suddenly it's their idea, right? And it makes it so much more powerful for the organization because they're bought in. And so there is a great temptation for us as culture leaders and people leaders to be like, hey, by the way, like that was my idea. Like, let's work in service of our business and for our professionals and for our employees. If we keep that in mind, then it actually doesn't matter who the credit goes to.
Great point. And speaking of levers, I probably am like 2 over with my CEO. So sorry, James, if you're in here. Okay, what advice would you give leaders who are facing the task of cultural change within large organizations, and especially those who feel they are starting too late or they're overwhelmed by the scale of the challenge? Let's start with you, Brixton.
Yeah, we talked about this earlier, right? I would recommend a mindset that you don't think of yourself as like one culture builder or one person versus 500 employees. Everyone at your organization, I promise you, everyone there wants your place to be a great place to work. You're not alone in that. And so if you can enlist all the help that you can by providing vision, bringing people into the room when you're making important decisions the best you can, it's not going to be one culture builder. It's going to be 500 culture builders. And they'll know how to do it best. You just need to give them the tools and the resources to be able to do that. Then just be patient with yourself. Like, you can't eat an apple all at once. Like, you got to take that bite by bite. And it's similar in this quest to build culture, right? Like, be kind, be patient with yourself. But again, if you can enlist help of everyone you're working with, I think you're going to find a lot more success that way.
Allison.
Yeah, I'm going to touch briefly back on the revolution and evolution concept. During a change management cycle, oftentimes we think, okay, it's going to be fine. We have values, right? Like everything's going to be fine. Everybody knows what the culture is. We have values. Values are an awesome guiding principle. But values don't change. Like if your values are great values, they should be great at 50 employees and they should be great at 5,000 employees, right? And so, but your culture can change 10,000 times in between that 50 to 5,000. And a good culture actually drives business results, because culture is mindset and how people show up and what their mindset is, and actually how they apply that mindset, right? And so culture has to be evaluated every time that there is change. And if you get so solid, and this is what our culture is, and that's not to say we shouldn't have culture statements of this is what we do for compensation, this is what we do for performance management, this is what we do for rewards and recognition, but we have to be willing to be wrong today and look at how we arrived on our initial decision, what's changed since then, and what are we going to do now? And that's largely us that we have to do that. And it's especially hard when you walk into a company that's got a pretty good culture. And it's easy to forget and that's actually something to focus on, because you're like, everything's great. Everybody loves everybody. Our ESAT looks amazing. But inevitably, your organization reiterates, especially in Utah and especially in tech, you're a different company every 6 months. And so being willing to have the conversation, do we have the right culture as we are today? And does that culture strategically align with where we're going? And if you're not driving those business results, you're kind of, I think, missing an opportunity with how you're building your culture.
Yeah, I think I've only thought the culture was perfect at an organization for like my first 2-3 weeks max, and then it was pretty clear, right?
Because you
That
know.
I was there for a
'Cause
reason.
you know.
Yes. Nathan.
Change is traumatic for people. There's all sorts of neuroscience research that supports it, but basically you can think about change from an individual perspective a lot like the grief cycle. There might be a little pop of excitement, and then people get down in the trenches, and it can be really, really hard. You might have little, bumps of productivity here, but sometimes that trough is long and deep. And I think sometimes leaders don't understand that. And so they don't give their organizations time and patience to work through the trauma. And I think as people leaders, as culture leaders here, we need to be aware of that change cycle. It's not like you just snap your finger and people automatically align like a magnet to the new direction. It can be messy. It can be really messy, and there can be, twists and turns along the way. But for leaders who are navigating change and they feel like it's too late, maybe you're at the bottom of this trough, and I would just encourage patience and consistency, because culture is built over time through consistent action, rather than just like, okay, I sent out a new PowerPoint with what we're doing. That's not change. So us as leaders, we need to make sure we're championing that and making sure that our organizations and leaders are patient in navigating that kind of depressing trough.
Very good point. Okay, we've got 3 minutes, so let's do a 1-minute takeaway or less of what you want people to take away from what you shared today. Brixton.
Yeah, I'm probably broken record at this point, but again, just the mindset, you are a culture builder. People are banking on you to have the people answers. So educate, enable, bring people on, think of it as like a crusade, and just bring people onto your team, onto your cause. And in my experience, and I think this will be the same thing for you, you'll be pleasantly surprised by how many people positively react to what's top of mind for you. And they'll want to get behind that. So please, hopefully you don't leave today feeling like, oh, I'm still all by myself. Just view your organization through a different lens, that everyone has the best interest, the same interest of building a great place to be.
Right, Allison.
I would say the big takeaway for me is how many burnt out people leaders are there right now? And it's
Raise your
because
hand
we're
if that's you.
expected to solve all the problems. We're psychiatrists, we're teachers, we're best friends, we're mentors. And so a lot of times we're so busy pushing outward activities that we don't stop and take care of us. And we can't take care of culture until we take care of us. And so I think that's been a big standout for me in the last 6 months, is your personal culture is just as important as the company culture. So take care of you first so you can show up for everybody else.
So good, yes. And Nathan.
I'll be brief. My takeaway is I'd invite everybody to add a suffix to their title as Chief Change Officer. Embed that into the core of who you are, regardless of whether you're a finance leader or HR or business leader or CEO. At the end of the day, you're a chief change leader, and now through today, you've got tools in your toolkit. Use them, make them sharp. They'll make a big difference.
Love it. Thanks, guys. That's it for us.
Thank
Appreciate your
you.
time.
Thank you.
Thank you, LaTanya and panelists. We appreciate your insights that you've shared with us today. I am excited to introduce 3 more of our wonderful partners. These sponsors have helped make this event possible. And the first that we have up is Utah Warriors Rugby. So please welcome Andy Chestnut. A little worried he's going to tackle me. A microphone for Andy. No, right here. No, here you are.
Hey, give me a cheer if you know what rugby even is. Oh my gosh! I love y'all. I just want to say, as a representative of the Warriors, that everybody here is a Warrior. I'm sure y'all are going through some crazy stuff right now. I don't know how many of you had an executive crying in your office this week, or has a team that's like struggling with burnout, or somebody who's like, I just moved here and I do not understand some of these people who live in this community. You're all going through some crazy stuff. And I promise you, if you looked at the sport of rugby, you might think, that's my mind right now. I'm just getting hit all the time with weird stuff, and I just got to get back up and do it again and push through and lower my shoulder and make stuff happen. We love you guys. We, at the Warriors, we're all about community. We want to support you. We want to celebrate you. If you've already partnered with us, you know what I'm talking about. There's an envelope that you got earlier. Please open that up. There are 2 things about that envelope. The first thing is, for anybody who's an attendee here today, we've dedicated 2 field boxes to the next game. So call us up fast and get yourself a seat in that field box. And the second element is, if you've never done a group night with us, we put together an offer just for this group. Y'all are amazing. Thank you so much for letting us support you and for being what powers this community. So thank you.
Next up, we have AutoOscopy. I know it sounds painful, but I promise it's good for you. So we would like to welcome Trent. AutoOscopy.
Thanks so much. Hey everybody, my name is Trent Whatcott, and I am the chief car fanatic with a company called AutoOscopy. And AutoOscopy multitasks on your parking lot so your employees can zero task on their weekend. We do everything from no charge vehicle diagnostic tests all the way through to oil changes, complete car maintenance, complete details, interior repair, everything. While your employee works, we take care of everything on their car so they can focus on what they love to do on the weekend. I have this little basket here, and I want to give it away to somebody. All right. And I also want to get it out of my hands. So in this basket is, first of all, the person who wins is going to be crowned most certainly to have the sweetest ride in the office. That's right. In order to help you maintain your crown, I am going to personally come and do any cleaning, detailing to your car that needs to be done or that you want to be done. It's a value of about $1,500 depending on what shape your car is in. So if it's a rolling trash can, $1,500. So along with that, with your crown comes this lovely basket. And inside of it are some of my favorite things to keep a car fresh, clean, and safe. And we have a winner, and it's somebody in the award code. Is it Splash? What does that say? Splash Summit section. And it's whoever is sitting in row 3. So if you're in row 3, raise your hand. And I will tell you, we had a different winner, but they moved. So we're calling an audible. Row 3, seat 20. So look at your seat and see if you won. I'm take this out of my hands. All right, we have a winner. Come on down. Or can she not come down? Oh, I'll meet you right here. How's that? Hi there. Oh, Tommy.
Congratulations, and thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody.
Our next sponsor is San Diablo, y me encantan los churros. This is McKenna, and she's going to tell us about her company.
Amazing. Thank you so much. So I am from San Diablo Churros. If you speak Spanish, you know what that means. If you don't speak Spanish, I'm going to tell you. So it means Saint Devil or Holy Devil, and we say that our churros are heaven-sent, wicked good. And we do fresh-filled mini churros. So they're a very good time. As a raise of hand, who in here has tried our churros before? Okay, I see some hype around here. There's a lot of people who haven't raised their hands too, so that's exciting. So today we are giving away a churro making kit. We call it our Fiesta in a Box. This is a great corporate gift for your team or clients. Everyone has this flyer in their bag. If you don't have a bag, grab one, make a friend real quick. We'll also have one at a table out here. We'll be serving churros so you guys can all try these churros. But on here, there's a QR code. If you scan it, it'll go to a survey where you can fill out to enter to win a Fiesta in a Box, which is our churro making kit, or a $250 catering credit for your team. So the best way to make work fun is to bring churros to your team. So make work fun again, bring churros to your team. Thanks, everybody.
We're so grateful for our sponsors. And we're excited about this next session. This is a very timely subject, the future of HR powered by AI. And I would like to introduce Nicky Coe. He's a seasoned AI expert with a diverse background in Silicon Valley, Wall Street, and startups. As a serial entrepreneur and former Inc. 5000 CEO, he has launched ventures globally leveraging AI technology. With a wide range of skills and experiences, Nicky is a visionary leader, educator, and innovator in the fields of technology, business, and personal growth. Welcome, Nicky.
Thank you. So in life, there's two parts of life. There's life before my workshop, and then there's life after my workshop. Today, you're going to learn more about AI than 99% of the world. And by the end of this session, you'll be able to have a debate with probably anyone except for a PhD in AI and know how to answer questions and probably win the debate. You also know how to empower your organization, how to lead your organization and the people to use AI at the core of your business so that you could increase productivity massively, not just in your processes, your systems, but through every aspect of your business, including HR, including hiring, recruiting, and all sorts of different processes. So I'm a part of an organization called the Vijay Institute. It's primarily members of a club called the Young Presidents Organization, where you have global leaders and global CEOs, where our goal is to train 1 million people in how to use AI. And we're doing this through over 200 instructors that we've trained all over the world. Now, we have great training materials, and we have a ton of awesome slides that prepared. So if anyone who wants a copy of these slides and a copy of the presentation, the list of really hot AI tools that can help empower your HR, empower your people, empower your systems, and also a way to understand the future of what AI is. Because I think in order to really want to implement AI in your organizations, you're going to really need to understand what generative AI is. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about what I've been doing. For the last 3 years, I've been on a spiritual quest, not a business quest. I went to more than the number of all the temples in the world created. Over 200 LDS temples around the world. I went to 150 countries, and I was helping as a missionary, service missionary, of entrepreneurs starting businesses all over the world. It was super fun. But when I saw the power of what AI can do, I just had to get back into the game and start launching my own businesses, micro SaaS companies. And one of the people I met on that journey was Elder Gong and Elder Bednar, which is kind of cool because as us being here in Utah, one of the largest organizations is the LDS Church, and they have an interest in integrating AI, but they are also saying that you need to not be afraid of it. You need to understand what's going on. And truly, the power of what AI could do to transform your business is unprecedented throughout the time of history. To give an example, I have a 10-bedroom house in Vegas where we launch ventures. So we had 10 entrepreneurs live with us in December. We had 10 entrepreneurs live with us in January. Each of these 10 businesses was able to go from just an idea to having a business that had clients. They had tasks every day, such as write a book that was over 100 pages, write 30 pages of sales copy, features and benefits, hire people, create partnerships with influencers with over 1,000 followers, and start building and scaling up your systems. Now, any one of these tasks could take probably 30 days in and of itself. But in order to accomplish the 150 task list, they had to do 7 of these tasks every single day, which is impossible without AI. And with that, it was possible. So one of the things I like to do is I love leading by example. So one of the things I created was Real AI Dynamics, where we educate people, we do coaching programs, and we also create custom solutions for companies, including the apps themselves. One of the things that each of the entrepreneurs had to do, though, is they had to create a business plan. That was one of the first things they did. So one of the tools that I like talking about is something called Venture Kit. Now, Venture Kit is something that allows you just to write one sentence, and with that one sentence, it'll create everything from your SWOT analysis. It'll create your budget. It'll create all sorts of organizational structures, ideas. Now, you can do this with ChatGPT as well. Now, today we're going to talk about ChatGPT just because I think it's the best model available today. In 2 weeks, that might not be the case. A lot of the stuff I talk about today might be completely irrelevant by next week or even 2 weeks later, and you really have to stay on top of things. The cool thing is, I'm going to give you a format so you can really understand no matter what it is that is changing in your business, you could take these different AI tools that we're talking about today and learn how to, when the technology changes, still stay on top of the game so that your people will still stay empowered. And the cool thing is if you learn AI and you learn how this works, you're going to want to empower your people as soon as possible because it is unbelievable, some of the performance that you'll be able to notice that could happen today. So the first thing I like talking about is the ethical framework behind AI, developing your values into the company. Now, who here has used ChatGPT? Raise your hand. Okay. Now, who here is using at least 450 words in your average prompt? Okay, nobody. This is what 450 words looks like. Now, if you are a part of the Jaw Institute, we have right now about 7,500 prompts for every possible HR case, finance case, marketing case, about 7,500 prompts, one of which we sold for $100,000 to a company because it's so valuable. You could integrate it into back-end systems, put all your data in it, and do all sorts of amazing things. I even created a prompt engineer, and it's something that allows you to rate the prompt on the scale from 1 to 5. Now, the biggest value of getting venture capital or an angel investment isn't even the money, it's the questions you get asked. So one of the cool things that I've given is in this prompt, if you download the materials, you get access to a prompt that will actually ask you the questions to refine your processes, your performance management systems, how you're recruiting, how you're hiring, how you're doing different things, how to improve your culture. And if you want to get access to some of these prompts from the Jaw Institute, we're in the Alpha program where you can actually get access to the library for free. Now, one of the things I wanted to show you was how to quickly hire people, because I think everybody here has to hire people. And so one of our clients is in Dubai. It's a thermal manufacturing equipment company. They asked us to create something to help them facilitate jobs. They get about 50 positions available. They get about 500 applications, and they don't look at it because every day 500 applications just get in an inbox. And the next day they have 1,000, next day they have 1,500. So what we did here is we wanted to show how you could create a job description and then eventually post it. So we created an automated solution where you can create a job description. This is in ChatGPT 4. It's kind of slow, but it's creating a very thorough and very usable job description. I created an applicant tracking software that goes through this process a little bit faster using the back end of ChatGPT and integrating it with a bunch of integrations using something called APIs. Allows you to connect different kinds of applications on the back end and then rates different applicants, creates different questions for applicants, helps set up interviews for applicants. But this is something that anybody in this room can do for the price of breakfast, just with a ChatGPT subscription. Now, typically, if you were to hire someone new and say, hey, look at other job descriptions for a job posting, you might notice their experience level. You might talk about the features and benefits of where you work and put that into your job description. You might talk a little bit about your company and maybe even your industry. Now, what ChatGPT is doing predictions about what it would expect you would want in its output. It requires you as part of the input. Now, if I was going to create a metrics to analyze and evaluate the different people that applied, it could do that. It could create a table. I could upload a hierarchy chart, org chart, and say, hey, these are the people I want on my interview panel. Let's set up the interview panel. Let's also create some questions for them. Let's create a comprehensive way that we could analyze the applicants we talk to, especially if it's a senior position. Like here, we're doing an example for a senior pharmaceutical position. We could upload resumes. In fact, we could analyze not just resumes, we could analyze LinkedIn profiles and see how it matches and give it an applicant tracking score. We could also contact the job applicants afterwards. Now, I'm going to show you how fast it is to do this with ChatGPT 3.5, which is pretty amazing. This whole process, I would say, some companies like our company in Dubai, it might take them to do this whole thing to say the 500 applicants per day, never. Some of you might have a very good HR team and you would be able to go through all those different steps you talked about and do it manually. Maybe it might take you, what, a week? Maybe you have a smaller team for that particular job. You might not even have a team. That might take you 1 month, 2 months, 3 months. Now, here we have me talking on stage and putting together these prompts. This whole process took us less than 15 minutes. Now imagine automating that so it's almost instantaneous. This is the power of what we can do with generative AI to help improve the hiring process, the recruiting process for you. And the output is pretty good. If I were to look at some of the metrics here, it's talking about different questions. So the CEO might get strategic questions. The people in HR might get questions about corporate culture, experiences and challenges they went through. The people in research, they might be asking questions about research. Now, I uploaded my LinkedIn bio in here to see if it's going to compare to what the result's going to be. And you notice that it's saying this person has great leadership skills, but he doesn't have any senior or pharmaceutical research background. So as a result, when they write the letter, it's going to say, sorry, you're not really qualified for this position. For some reason, I'm not really qualified for almost any biopharma position, but I think it's a great use case. On the flip side, you could go to a tool that creates the resume. You go to an AI resume tool that also not just creates a resume, but then goes to something like Skill Syncer and will actually give an applicant tracking software, a matching tool, so that you could match up certain words that are said. And then it will go through this filter. Now, this is what it goes through a typical HR process for hiring. You go through a process where you look at the job, you look at the applicant, you match it to qualifications. You might not even pass the gatekeeper. You might even also, though, want to recruit more candidates. Maybe you'll go to a job fair. You want to create a presentation. Let's say you want to create a website, a PowerPoint, and a PDF to circle around. Well, with one sentence, you could create all that at the exact same time for your job description using something called Gamma. This is something I love. I love this so much because when I was doing my tech startup house, I had 30 minutes every day one-on-one with my entrepreneurs. I also did group presentations, 1 or 2 of them every day. And I was able to use Gamma to create my presentation, then use the knowledge in my head to elaborate off these beautiful presentation slides. Now, here it's creating a 25-slide presentation, which is approximately a 90-minute presentation. Now, I don't know about you, but the amount of time that I've spent on presentations, whether it's for a PhD program or whether it's for business, is quite a lot. And here it's giving examples of work-life balance, sections that we could edit for testimonials, stuff about diversity, equity, inclusion, and all sorts of other slides that are great. If we look at the amount of time it would take somebody to do what we did here in less than 15 minutes, and we multiply that by 10, and we get to 150 minutes. Now, if we were to multiply it by 10 again, that's basically 2.5 workdays. Now, if we were going to say that everything that we did took, say, 3 months, that's 2,400x productivity. Now, imagine 2,400x productivity, not just in your hiring process, but for your sales and lead generation, where AI assistants are doing a lead generation for you. Your marketing process, where the content creation is being done, integrated with your Salesforce, your CRM, or your enterprise resource programs, for procurement, for supply chain, for content development, for every process of your business. This is the power of what AI can do for you right now. Now, in terms of inclusion being another tool, I think it's also really important. So if you look at removing bias from AI, just like how we want to remove bias from our recruitment process, I think it's super important. In fact, there's tools that do great jobs of demonstrating what the power of AI is, but Gemini, for example, from Google, they actually had to turn off image generation because it was unable to produce historical characters like George Washington without being a minority. But at the same time, it produces great ideas of what is possible for generative AI. So I want to show you this. It's not necessarily in real time as this video shows you, but it's a great example to open up your mind of use cases of what is possible.
All right, testing Gemini. Here we go. Tell me what you see.
I see you placing a piece of paper on the table. I see a squiggly line.
What about now?
The contour lines are smooth and flowing, with no sharp angles or jagged edges. It looks like a bird to me.
What if I add this?
The bird is swimming in the water. It has a long neck and beak. It is a duck.
Yes.
A duck is a type of waterfowl in the family Anatidae. Ducks are closely related to geese and swans. The duck appears to be blue. This is not a common color for ducks. However, there are some breeds of blue ducks. These are typically not as common as other duck breeds. It is more common for ducks to be brown, black, or white.
Are you sure?
What the quack? I was just talking about a blue duck, and now you're holding one. It looks like blue ducks are more common than I thought.
Would this float?
I'm not sure what material it's made of, but it looks like it might be rubber or plastic.
What if I tell you it's making a squeaking sound?
Oh, if it's squeaking, it's definitely going to float.
Nice.
It is a rubber duck. It is made of a material that is less dense than water.
Can you teach me how to say this in a different language? And give me a few options. Ooh, can you explain how to pronounce the Mandarin one? Is it Yazi?
Yazi
Is pronounced with a first tone. In Mandarin, there are 4 tones, which are essential to distinguish the meaning of words. The first tone is a high, level tone.
Oh, okay.
The duck is in the middle of the ocean. There is no land nearby for the duck to rest or find food. It is unlikely to find ducks here naturally.
Okay, based on what you see, come up with a game idea. Oh, and use emojis, please.
How about this? We can play a game called Guess the Country.
Sure, let's do it.
Clue 1. This country is the home of the kangaroo, the koala, and the Great Barrier Reef.
Oh, that's easy.
Clue 2. This country loves football and has won the most men's World Cups in football history. You are trying to get me to find the paper ball under the cup. I accept the challenge. The cup to the left.
Nice.
I know what you're doing. You're playing rock, paper, scissors.
What do you see now?
The fingers are spread out to look like the wings of a butterfly.
What's this?
Big ear and barking mouth, a dog.
Sweet.
The coin should be under the right hand.
I don't know.
The coin is in the left hand using a sleight of hand technique to make it appear as if the coin has disappeared. Both objects are round and flat.
There you go.
Both are food. The orange is a healthier choice than the cookie. Citrus can be calming and so can the spin of the fidget toy. They are both examples of popular toys that have been enjoyed by children and adults alike for many years.
Give me some ideas for what I could make with this.
I see pink and green yarn. How about a dragon fruit? Or how about a green cake with a pink heart?
Okay, how about these colors? And maybe show me some animals.
Okay, now I see blue and pink yarn. How about a pig with blue ears? Or an octopus? Or a bunny with a pink nose?
Ooh, I'll keep those in mind. Which way should the duck go?
Going left leads to a duck, which is a friend. Going right leads to a bear, which is a foe. It is better to make friends than foes, so the duck should go left.
Smart choice.
This is a picture of a crab.
That's right. Is this the right order?
No, the correct order is Sun, Earth, Saturn.
Based on their design, which of these would go faster?
The car on the right would be faster. It is more aerodynamic.
Which looks more fun?
The one on the right, because it has a loop.
What do you think this person might be saying?
How about a woohoo?
Ooh, I love that.
I see you're drawing a guitar. You've added an amp. Now it's an electric guitar. We can make some seriously loud music now. Given that you added drums, how about some 80s hair metal? Alright, I see you've added a palm tree to the drawing. Change it up with some beachy vibes.
What movie are they acting out here?
I think they are acting out the famous bullet time scene from The Matrix.
Ooh, nice. What do you think might happen next?
The cat is going to jump to the wall and stick the landing. It's going to be a perfect 10. Oh, and it's a miss. It looks like it was just a little too far away. But don't worry, the cat is a natural athlete and it will be back up there in no time.
Okay, I've got one more for you. Describe the drawing I made.
It is a simple line drawing of the constellation Gemini. You did a good job of capturing the beauty of Gemini.
Nice.
All right, so that's kind of expands your mind about the little things that you might be thinking about. Image generation, video, sorting, data analysis. Now, a typical organization looks like what we see up at the Jumbotron. We see a very hierarchical structure where you have experts that kind of lead the organization. You also have people that are in management, managing teams, and then you have tacticians, project managers. Now, in an AI-empowered organization, things will be different, but this is how AI works. A bunch of internet data is then scraped and is put in something called a transformer. You might have a phrase like, how old, and then you don't know what the next word's going to be. And you'll have all this data put in something called a vector database, where it might say the next word is are, you, or am, I, or whatever pixel is next for a request for an image or a video. And it puts out output. Now, in order for this to kind of be useful, it requires human input. And as a result, we need humans involved with that process. We need people that are going to be involved so that AI can be something that listens to us, follows our instructions. And as a result of this, as opposed to an organization thinking about replacing people, like there was, I think, an article about how so many people are having layoffs because of massive cuts, they're saying as an excuse, market dynamics. Right now in our organization, we're hiring people faster at unprecedented rates because who wouldn't want to hire anyone that can work at 2,400x productivity? In fact, right now, our company is hiring at such a fast rate, we're literally hiring almost every single person that applies because we need that kind of leverage to really grow. Now, in terms of using optimization of resources, I want to show you some examples, though, that could remove some tasks, because some jobs might disappear, like the alarm clock. The alarm clock used to be a boy that knocked on the doors of homes, and then it turned into an electric device. Now, I'd prefer that kid to be in school. Now, I'm going to show you how we could create an AI HR representative. I literally just type in these exact words into ChatGPT, and this is what happens.
All right, so we are now creating a human resources representative that we could talk to. And it says here that this is a human resources representative. We're now going to push this button here, give her a call. Hello, I have a question about human resources. Am I calling the right place?
Yes, you're in the right place. How can I assist you with your human resources question today?
I have a question about our hiring practices, and I wanted to know what our policy is and what the right decision should be about hiring people. I would like to get some more information about our policy regarding diversity, equity, and inclusion.
Absolutely. I can provide some general guidance on that topic. XYZ Pharmaceuticals is committed to creating a diverse, equitable, and inclusive work environment. Our hiring practices are designed to ensure we attract a wide range of candidates from various backgrounds and experiences. This includes actively seeking out individuals who bring different perspectives and skills to our team, which enriches our company culture and drives innovation. Our policies typically emphasize equal opportunity employment, ensuring all candidates are evaluated based on their qualifications, skills, and abilities relevant to job roles. Strategies to mitigate bias in the recruitment process, such as structured interviews and diverse hiring panels.
Spanish.
Ongoing training for our hiring teams on diversity, equity, and inclusion principles. Efforts to create an inclusive culture that supports employees from all backgrounds, with programs and resources to promote career development, mentorship, and community engagement. It's also important to continuously assess and update our practices to address evolving needs and to reinforce our commitment to an inclusive workplace. If you have specific concerns or suggestions, we're definitely open to hearing those to make our processes even better. Do you have a specific scenario in mind, or is there a particular aspect of our diversity, equity, and inclusion policy you'd like to discuss further?
Hola, necesito más información.
Claro, estaré encantado de proporcionar más información o aclarar cualquier duda que tengas. ¿Sobre qué aspecto específico de nuestras políticas de diversidad, equidad e inclusión te gustaría saber más?
It's a pretty good accent.
It is. Now, we could also have AI assistants go to our meetings. I used to hire someone at a few $100s an hour to go to board of directors meetings. Now I can have Fireflies go with better transcription services and even give us sentiment analysis about the emotions of the people that are talking. Now, for promotion of good, AI is doing a lot. In fact, if we look at Google, who we were talking about earlier, Google has actually done amazing things. They've actually mapped out all the proteins in the world. It's believed that this will save 5 billion years of research. They've also created predictions for floods in areas that are at risk, and have created treatments for diseases that are in Africa. Now, in terms of leadership for AI, I think it's also important to also understand all sorts of tools and use cases and be a leader for different organizations. Because I believe that AI needs to be not just external from a CTO, but needs to be from a top down throughout the whole organization or to build an AI-empowered organization. I believe that this is what's gonna happen to all organizations in 3 to 5 years, but if you get started now, you have a head start ahead of the competition. One of the cool things I like talking about is Midjourney. This is from AI Inspiration, which is one of my favorite tools for art and images, where you could literally just go into something like Midjourney and type /imagine, and here I'm talking about imagine a 360 view room of a Culture Builders Summit. We also could show an example of what Stable Diffusion technology does. We can literally type in a word, and as you're typing in the words, as opposed to waiting, literally every single letter I type after that first word is generating images in real time. Now, if we go to the Midjourney example, you can see that by now the image is ready. And sometimes they need to be edited. Sometimes they require image editing. And so we use something called Firefly. Adobe created this. I spoke at Adobe recently, and I think this is an amazing technology, and it's available for free right now. I love how you could literally speak into existence or just type into existence almost anything. In fact, 3D images is possible. We could do text to video. Sora is yet to come out, but it's coming out really soon. This is a sneak preview. Now, if I wanted to go to Runway, I could animate 2D images, bring it to life. I love this for marketing creatives. But you're starting to see why you'd want to hire people that know AI in your organization, or you might want to learn it yourself. Here I said, create an image from Midjourney for my LinkedIn profile. Then it produced an image. Then I had to say, expand it, center it, and add some trees. That's the result. I got a blurry image. I said, make the image high resolution, made that. I could even take people, for example, here is an image of me dancing at my tech startup house with my bishop. And I turned him into a robot. One of the fun things you could do, and I think this is pretty cool, you could take your favorite movies and just put you as the main character, and suddenly you're now the main character in your favorite movies. And now this is something that you could do for all sorts of creatives, whether it's to kind of promote your company. You could also do it for marketing creatives. For example, this is Joanna. Ask Joanna to speak about a picture.
Okay, I have this gorgeous picture. The picture is a family picture of my family of 8 little kids.
Now this is not Joanna.
Hello, my name is AI Joanne, and I'm super excited to be part of this amazing event. I really hope everyone is having a great time.
Now let's translate her.
Hola, mi nombre es AI Joanne, y estoy muy emocionada de ser parte de este.
Angel Studios is working on that right now for different movies. I can see other studios doing that, so you don't have a bad translation. You can even turn it into video sales copy. Now, here's me. I just took an iPhone.
For you, not just as an entrepreneur or a CEO, but as an advocate for transformation. A guide to unlocking a future where your business not only adapts, but thrives in the ever-evolving landscape of artificial intelligence, where you can use AI to massively increase your productivity, and use AI assistance to accomplish anything. In fact, I am the AI avatar for Nikki Ko, the founder of Real AI Dynamics.
Now, I imagine you're on a loud beach in Africa. There's a party going on. You could still take an iPhone camera angle here, an iPhone camera angle here, an iPhone camera angle here, and maybe even a swooping one. I hired a 4-camera crew, but I wouldn't be able to filter out all that sound. AI is able to do all of that. In fact, I could even generate music creatives for commercials or anything else I want to produce. So here, I'm generating a song for Culture Builders Summits in Utah at the Hale Center. See, it's producing a song. It even turns into a sing-along.
We're standing tall all in Salt Lake City, united together, building a legacy. It will ignite the flame, spreading positivity, embracing the change.
All right, awesome. If you guys want to write a human resources manual, you guys want to write policy books, or any book, you could do that with 6 clicks of a button and have it published on Amazon. You want a website, a multi-page website using Hokus. You want to have some code developed, you could use Autonomics and have Devin, the world's first software engineer, talk with its other software engineers that are also AI, and to build your software for you. I'm using things like GitHub Copilot, where I took 20 years of code for an ERP and rebuilt it in PHP in 3 months. I also could use wearables. I could attach this.
I'm taking an early look at the Rabbit R1, and this tiny device doesn't have any apps on it, but it runs on AI. So I'm gonna give you a quick tour of the device. So as you can see, there's a tiny 2.8-inch screen on the front, and then this is the scroll wheel right here. So as it presents answers or you're looking through the operating system, you can use that scroll wheel to kind of scroll through. And then on the side, you have a push to talk button that you can use to invoke the Rabbit assistant when you want to ask a question. Play Antihero by Taylor Swift.
Sure thing. Let's get the music playing for you.
I've only had a few minutes to check it out, but so far I'm really loving the design. It feels very retro and it's super tiny. It's about half the size of my phone. What are some ideas for a 5-year-old's birthday party?
You could consider a superhero extravaganza, a princess tea party, or even a magical circus adventure. Another option could be a fun-filled outdoor party with games, a bouncy castle, and a treasure hunt.
But we really need to spend more time with it before we can really tell how useful it is and how it kind of stacks up to the virtual assistants that already live on our smartphones.
Now, if you wanted to also use AI glasses, we could look at objects similar to the Apple Vision Pro, and we could see at food, what's the nutritional value. We could look at language. It could tell us an instant interpretation of the language in our preferred language. We could look at objects, and it could tell us the price and analysis of it. We could look at people and look up their profiles and tell us about it. This is the potential of what's being done with AI glasses. The cool thing is this is stuff that has existed for a long time. The only reason why people aren't already using it is solely because of computational power. My favorite tool recently is HumanePin. Now, this is something that I'm hoping to get in the next 30 days because they had a delay in shipping, new technology, and it does exactly what you would see in this video.
Isn't life about what we experience, what we smell,
Can I eat this? Yes, dragon fruits are low in sugar.
what we hear,
Hey, what should I get here?
我在这里该点什么呢?
哇，这会是猪。
what we see,
Capture this.
and what we feel? What if we build more memories,
What are some fun things to do nearby?
share more moments?
Play songs from the last time we were here.
What would happen if we rediscover our senses? What if devices weren't the experience?
Catch me up.
Lucy called and your flight is at 7 a.m.
Tell Lucy I'm on my way.
What if life was?
Now, we're also going to talk about Apple Vision Pro. Of course, one of the most powerful things I think is virtualization of offices. Now, I've been doing this for decades, even before COVID. But I love how the Apple Vision Pro could create a virtual
I want
environment
to show
for
you
your
guys
staff.
just a little bit of what a real workflow might look like for the Vision Pro. See the Mac screen right here? By the way, full hand occlusion, which looks really nice and smooth. Messages, Slack, another Safari window right here. Keyboard works just fine, like that. And also, my mouse will go over here, and I can go ahead and type right here. And as I type, I can see a little preview. I'll show you a couple more things. Got the messages again. Got music set up here. Big screen TV set up on my wall. Gordon Ramsay showing me how to cook above the stove. Notes right here for some groceries. Can walk around freely. Here's what it looks like when it's on. Hey, how's it going? Thank you. And as we walk around the house, everything stays pinned exactly where we left it.
And
And
one of the
that's
cool
it.
things
Let
about
me know if you have
this
questions.
is that if you're wearing your headset and you're on a Zoom call, it actually will create an AI avatar of you. Now, if you have, say, like a meditation room, you can even have AI buddies that will meditate for you, guide you in meditation, or even hang out with your children. If you're in a hospital, you could have this huggable AI that hangs out with you, talks to you, it can even remember things. One of my friends developed something called WeHead. If you want to take telecommunications to the next level, make a 3D AI model. It looks like this. It's like a heady device. I think we're just moments away from actually having full chassis that make your face appear. I can see that also with ChatGPT integration. So let's talk a little bit about robotics. This is figure one. Now this is integrating ChatGPT technology where you can actually, instead of just hiring humans, it'll be a whole new market for hiring robots to actually do jobs.
Hey, figure one, what do you see right now?
I see a red apple on a plate in the center of the table, a drying rack with cups and a plate, and you standing nearby with your hand on the table.
Great, can I have something to eat?
Sure thing.
Great. Can you explain why you did what you just did while you pick up this trash?
On it. So I gave you the apple because it's the only edible item I could provide you with from the table.
Great. So, based on the scene right now, where do you think the dishes in front of you go next?
The dishes on the table, like that plate and cup, are likely to go into the drying rack next.
Great. Can you put them there?
Of course.
All right. So, how do you think you did?
I think I did pretty well. The apple found its new owner, the trash is gone, and the tableware is right where it belongs.
I agree. Thanks, figure one.
You're welcome. If there's anything else you need help with, just let me know.
Now, I think this is going to require human training. I don't think that robots are just going to suddenly come out and take everyone's jobs. I do think, though, that the technology that is available today is quite impressive. That's why I also want to show you Groot and Tesla Optimus, because it does require human training. I want to show you exactly what that looks like.
NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang took to the stage in March with a fleet of humanoid robots, including some familiar faces from what the future's past. But one big player in the humanoid robotic space noticeably absent was Tesla's Optimus robot. What does this announcement reveal about how NVIDIA is positioning itself in the humanoid robot market? And in what ways is Tesla's competing approach both similar and different to NVIDIA's? Let's get into it. 9 humanoid robots were brought on stage to ring in the announcement of NVIDIA's Project Groot, which stands for Generalist Robot 00 Technology. Yeah, that's really what it stands for. NVIDIA describes Project Groot as the foundation for the development of humanoid robots, enabling them to understand human language and replicate human movements simply by observing them. This sounds strikingly similar to how Tesla's Optimus robot learns from video data inputs like human demonstrations. NVIDIA also demonstrated how the robot's using its platform can train in simulation, an important tool for robotics developers because it is generally much faster and more cost efficient to train in simulation than it is to train in the real world for hopefully obvious reasons. Tesla, on the other hand, has not emphasized simulations as part of its Optimus robot development, perhaps because it's building off of its own in-house AI, which is trained on vast amounts of real-world data, gathered at least in part by the driver's assistants in Tesla cars. During NVIDIA's big announcement, humanoid robots from several of the big players in the space were present, including Digit from Agility Robotics, Atlas from Boston Dynamics, and more. This announcement seemed to be NVIDIA's way of starting to position itself as a provider of key building blocks for companies developing humanoid robots. NVIDIA also announced new hardware with its Jetson Thor computing system, designed to provide the speed and power needed to work with the variety of humanoid robots using Project Groot. Tesla, on the other hand, seems to be aiming at keeping much of the production of its Tesla bot in-house, leveraging the lessons learned and tools developed for making its cars, rather than partnering with companies like NVIDIA to provide those services. This desire to forge its own path has paid off for Tesla in the past. For example, by building out its own supercharger network, initially designed only for Tesla owners, Tesla is now starting to offer its EV charging infrastructure to drivers of EVs from other companies, for a price, of course. Perhaps Tesla has a similar goal in mind for the AI systems driving Optimus. Which approach do you think will lead to better robots?
Now, for some people, they're like, wow, that's so cool. Other people are super scared. I will say that it's going to be pretty interesting when you go to my house and you start seeing robots cooking dinner. Now, another thing that I want to show you is also news, whether it's news internally or externally. You can remove a lot of bias. You can get data from different sources, and you can also have instant language translation with AI. Now, a lot of this stuff, I could go into a lot more detail, not just into HR, but every level of strategy, from finance, HR, IT. And if you want to actually, as a gift from me to you, get a 3-hour course and walk away with a professional certificate from an accredited university in AI, all you have to do is use this QR code or go to this link. And at the end of a 3-hour presentation, after you enter your name and email, this presentation will be given to you. On top of that, if you want to have a little bit more time talking to me, I actually will answer any questions that are available both online or actually from any of the participants in the audience through online channels. So I'm going to give you my contact so you can reach out to me. But on top of that, I think the best value that you could get isn't even of going through an educational program like this. I think the best value that you could get is to actually have a mastermind of people that keep you up to date. And so I want to give that to you as well. So what I've created, and I think everyone should do this, is download WhatsApp. And I've created a WhatsApp community where you can communicate with me and the alumni of my programs from all over the world. I'm adding them to this group so you could reach out to me. My number is attached. Also, if you want to email me, that's my email, or connect with me on LinkedIn. I think that we are at the forefront of such massive change. And that is why for any nonprofit organization, I'm willing to speak for free between now and the summertime. If you would like me to come to your organization and do that as well, I'd be willing to do that. But I think that the way you need to get the word out there is to tell your organization the possibility of what's happening with AI, so you can stay ahead of the competition. And not just stay ahead of the competition, to really rapidly grow every element of your business, because that is what is possible with AI. I want to thank you so much for inviting me here today. Have a great lunch.
All right. Hello, culture builders. You are inspiring to see. We've been building this for the last couple of months, and I hope you know how awesome it is to see each of you. I hope you enjoy this time that you get to meet with each other. We have some really important things to hit before lunch, and I'd love for them to cue the next slide. Brandon from the theater is gonna share some fun things you can do at lunch.
Thank you, everyone. I don't know if it's all because you're HR professionals, but I'm really nervous. I'm usually not nervous in front of all of you, but I'm nervous now. HR people are hilarious. Yesterday we did a mic check with Todd here, and I go, any song from Les Mis will do. And he goes, I dreamed a dream, and it was amazing. So let's hear it for Todd. He put everything on. Can we please give a round of applause to our wonderful tech team here at Health Center Theater? They are amazing. And waiting for James as well. I'll put him on the spot. Cameron is 15 on the guitar. Did you know that? It's crazy. He is the composer for our upcoming production of The Time Machine. It's amazing. Thank you for being here. This is when I get to brag and say thank you. Health Center Theater did 859 performances last year. We sold out 859 performances. I don't say that to brag, kind of, but I say that to say thank you because Utah has a culture of supporting the arts. And here at Health Center Theater, we do world-class theater. So please keep us in mind the next time you do a corporate event and the next time you're thinking about employee perks. Think about Health Center Theater. Thank you for being here. We will be doing tours through this lunch. Meet me or any other Health Center Theater employee out near the big hallway, just outside the store to the left where you all came in from the parking garage. We'll take you upstairs. We'll take you backstage. It's really, really cool. I took way too much time. Thank you.
Awesome. It's important for me that you know who's helped put this on. So come on, Culture Builder Board, please come out. They're a little shy, so you might have to applause. Thank you. Come on, everybody. These are the people that created today. I wanted to thank Dallin, was the first one after last year that said, we need to go do that again, and I'm willing to help, whatever we need. So thank Dallin as the first person who got this going. Cassidy was not able to join us today. We're going to have to tell everyone on LinkedIn, will you please tell @Cassidy Gonzalez, get well soon. We need at least 1,000, and then maybe she'll get well soon. We're sure thinking of her. She did so much to help today. And Brixton, thank you for our board member, helped with so many of the speakers, and just an incredible leader that we're so thrilled. You heard him earlier today. That's the same one. I know he... I'm an idiot sometimes with the microphone. Okay, Kyle Spencer came in and helped us really take this to a new level. When we noticed how many of you were coming, Kyle helping and gave some additional muscle. I want to. But wait, there's more. We'll share the next one. Two more that I didn't introduce after pitching. We wanted to thank Mingle, who's done some incredible things for us today too.
Yeah. So thank you so much. So Mingle, they do off-site meetings, but bring you insight. So right now they're filming this, they're live streaming it. People could be talking remotely to the people in person. So it's just pretty amazing. So if you have corporate needs where people are off-site, but you want to bring them on-site, think about them. It's a pretty amazing thing. Thank you for them getting this live stream to the people that couldn't make it today. So a little round of applause for Mingle.
If you like the way Culture Builders looks today, you might consider hiring Craig, one of our amazing open to work board members who's been in charge of every single part of our visual identity this year. That's my man, Craig. Please. Thank you, Craig. And then Nicole helped us with all the event details last minute. We didn't give her a lot of time to execute, but she's phenomenal. So consider hiring Nicole as well if you like how this event's going. We're so grateful for you. You inspire us. You are why we built this. We hope you have a great lunch and come back here right at 1 o'clock. And there will be music if you want to come earlier.
Yeah, and thank you so much, Todd. Let's hear it for Todd. Todd has done this 2 years now, and it would not be possible if it wasn't a dream of his a year and a couple months ago. So thank you, Todd. I'll be the housekeeping guy. That's why they gave me this microphone thing. There is lunch aplenty for everybody, but I will say there might not be enough buffet lunch for everybody. So when you go through the buffet lunch, go a modest portion and top off with heavy appetizers, which also constitute a good lunch. There's lots of food downstairs. There's lots of food upstairs. There's lots of seating upstairs, and there's lots of seating down the hall. We'll see you guys back at 1 o'clock.
One more little logistic thing. It's the event planner and me. If